Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Get ready for truth bombs, belly laughs, and the kind of accent that turns car into a two-syllable adventure. Here's your host, Sean.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Edge of Liberty here in the SHI Media Network. It's already December 29th. It's actually starting to feel like fall here in California. Last couple of days have been glorious. The oppressive and evil heat that shows up here is relenting a little bit. It might be lamenting too. I don't know what it does. Got a lot to talk about this evening. But first, because I'm all about fairness, and I'm all about letting the other side speak here and there. It's interesting what they have to say. So let's see what the left has to say this week, and let's see how they're doing.
America, please get me out of this place. I'm tired. I'm losing my tired.
It's not going well over there on the left, and that's all right. They have time to pull it together, maybe, hopefully. First story I talk about tonight is obviously this tragic church shooting and arson attack that took place in Michigan. Oh, everyone's in the chat coming in. Thank you so much, chat room. Canada Heavy Hall, Kiwi Last, the international portion of our chat room is covered. Mission Ready Men. Oh. How's that? Is that better? Oh, I know. There was a munchkin in here that was jacking with things. Anyhow, thank you to the International Coalition for showing up to the chat room. And of course, Mission Ready Men, the Phantom BZ's in there. And you can be in the live chat. Just go to SHR Media's YouTube. You'll see a little circle. It says live. You can click on it, jump in and join the live chat. And more will be hopefully trickling on in. Apologize for that. There's a little munchkin who sometimes is around the studio, and she likes to, well, mess with things. Are you saying to yourself, Sean, are you blaming that on your 11-year-old daughter? The answer is yes, 100% blaming that on her. She was the last one to be sitting here while I was prepping the show, before I was prepping the show. And I'm just a bad enough parent to blame all that on her. So yes, entirely, that was her fault. Thank you guys for... Thank you all for joining us this evening. We're starting in Michigan. Horrible story. Just tragic. Yesterday, an individual walked into the Grand Blanc Township Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints meeting house around 10:25 a.m. Actually, let me rephrase that. He drove through the wall, then exited, began open fire. Law enforcement arrived, engaged him, and killed him in the exchange. Hats off to law enforcement for doing a great job getting there, taking out the threat. Unfortunately, 4 people were killed, 8 others were wounded. As I said, the suspect died as well, but I don't count him as part of the group that was killed. And there's 2 more people in critical condition. Victims were from children all the way up to elderly folks. Suspect, 40-year-old Thomas Jacob Sanford of Michigan, was a former Marine. I know all the Marines go nuts when I use that in any sentence, but from 2004, 2008, He did spend time in Fallujah while in Iraq. He's a father with a child who had a rare genetic condition as well that they were very public about and they were trying to get support for. And apparently had a lot of family struggles. He was a Trump supporter. And he's had previous arrests for burglary, operating under the influence, and other issues. Burglary being a felony. So he should not have possessed the weapon that he possessed, I believe. I'm pretty sure that's how Michigan rules with their laws. So that's out of the way. In recent years, and I guess more recently in the last few months, he was speaking to a city council candidate and expressed explicit hostility towards Mormonism, calling the church members antichrists, and criticized their practices, I should say. According to the FBI, they're looking at this as a targeted act of violence, not a terror attack, because that involves politics. This is horrific, horrible, disgusting, terrible. Should never have happened. But this was not a terror attack. This was not a politically based attack. I've seen a lot of people use the word online. Oh, he's a MAGA terrorist. He's a MAGA terrorist. And I'm like, well, are you going to start looking into the politics of every single workplace violence incident, domestic violence incident, road rage incident? No, this was, however disturbed he obviously was mentally, that's what led to this. And it's just tragic, and it should never happen. No one should be taking anybody else's life. That's a default setting. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I said it on the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I've said it with numerous assassinations and numerous murders and everything else, is that it was, there's just no place in society. And I know, like, a lot of people saying he had PTSD, like the guy at the American Seafood Company, it looks like probably had PTSD as well. And yes, two things can be true. It's unbelievably tragic how we've treated our veterans and that they're not getting the help they need. And I can absolutely condemn them for the actions that they take. There's no excuse. There's no anything to get around it. Anytime, and look, there should be a broader conversation about mental health once again coming to the forefront. Ricky's in the chat. BZ's in the chat. Make sure getting everyone covered in the chat. But this is why mental health needs to come to the forefront. It needs to be a big issue and not red flag laws. Look, there was already a law in place. If this guy was a felon, and I'm pretty sure Michigan's a state where you can't have a firearm if you've been convicted of a felony, red flag laws wouldn't have stopped that. He would have got the weapon. He also had IEDs that was being used in the attack. Rick's giving me a hard time in chat. You know, you know what I've noticed about this chat room? When I'm on a really heavy subject, when I'm trying to cover something that is tragic and rough, that's when the most people start busting my balls in the chat room. You guys are fantastic. I appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, this is there's not a law, because the other law that I'm almost on the books, positive is on the books in Michigan, is you're not allowed to murder. You're not allowed to use explosive devices or incendiary devices. All of that is already on the books. So once again, laws don't change behavior. And let's say, because I know everyone's already, oh, the AR-15, he had an AR-15. Okay. Let's say he strolled in there with a pistol and he still had IEDs. And even if he only had 6 shots and blah, blah, blah. Okay. Well, if he was really good at reloading, he was shot, 14 people, 12 people. He still could have accomplished that with any weapon and the IEDs. If the IEDs were successful, it could have been a lot worse. It's tragic. It's horrible. It is something that should never happen. That's the end of story. as far as the discussion as to how and why. Is my sound off tonight? Everyone in the chat room saying, let me check my settings. I'll go through and double check them. Microphone set right. Hold on. Speakers are set right. Working. Let me try that. I'll try to make some adjustments. Is that not working better now? Chat room, let me know. I apologize. All my settings were jacked apparently, and I'm trying to fix them as we speak. So, it's one of those things. The response for everybody, and I was on X yesterday, and somebody posted, and I found out what happened afterwards, but a picture of the truck originally. You guys are all assholes in the chat room. For the people listening to the podcast, everyone in the chat room's telling me they can't hear me. So I'm sitting here trying to mess away because the munchkin was here. And obviously was meandering around, messing around. And these assholes in the chat room are telling me they can't hear me. Oh, that's amazing. Good for you. Good for all of you for getting in on the joke together. I applaud you. That's great. Oh, that's awesome. Hold on. I need a minute now. I'm sitting here because it wasn't I don't know, a month ago that I had an issue and all my sound was jacked up for half the show. Right. And oh, all right. All right. I see how it's going to be. It's going to be one of those nights. I see. Oh, God. So where was I? Yeah, but there was a photo that was tweeted out yesterday, and it's like, oh, this is the vehicle that went through the building. Well, it was right around the time the police department turned around and said, hey, the suspect drove through the front door. And the image that was put up was very, very compressed. It was really low quality. And I said, well, things aren't matching with that photo. It doesn't look right. And so I did a whole bunch of research, and the photo was actually edited. The vehicle into the wall was accurate, but somebody took out a light pole that was in the picture. They really compressed it. And then I found out that it was a picture taken of another phone and a picture, and that's why the quality sucked. So when somebody uploaded a new picture, I put up the new picture. Well, the amount of people that went nuts because I used AI, and I did a side by side. I spent about an hour drilling down AI trying to find out everything that was wrong. And AI said there's a whole bunch wrong with this original photo. So I posted both side by side. I said, look, here's this photo is legit. This photo was edited. There were issues with it. Here's the breakdown AI as to what's the same, what's different, what was edited, what wasn't. And the amount of people who were absolutely losing their minds that I dared question the first picture. Now, it's the internet, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if this is a lot of people's first day here, but people put fake shit on the internet all day long. People edit things. There were 2 other photos out there that I did a photo trace on and a reverse on that they kept trying to say were the suspect's vehicles, and they were from an incident in July of 2025 or June of 2025. People post shit all the time because they want the attention. They want the response. They want the clicks. They want the impressions, whatever. And somebody said, oh, sometimes, people use those pictures because they don't have another one and they blah, blah. And I'm like, cut the shit. Like, you're using a wrong picture. You know what you're doing. I don't think I've ever used a picture that was similar to an incident or anything like that on SHR. But if I would put up a really, really big notice of, hey, this is not from this incident. And they're not doing that. They are absolutely, they don't care. So for me to question it in this day and age wasn't wrong. And I corrected it. I put out and said, hey, this pitch is legit. Here's what's happened. And people are like, well, you got to take down what you said. You were wrong. Why do I have to take down what I said? I admitted that I did question the first picture, and then I was proven wrong. I was proven right because it was edited, but I was proven that it was actually a correct depiction of what occurred at the church. And I owned it. I put out a side-by-side comparison that I posted no less than 25 times to people as to what I saw, what AI saw, what was actually edited, and what wasn't. And I just like, it blows my mind. It's like, is this your first day on the internet, or do you just have to be right so much, especially the leftists, because they've been taking it on the chin, rightfully so, for a long time now, that they just needed anything to hold on to. And they saw two American flags sticking out of the damn truck, and that was it. They're like, oh, he was MAGA. He was MAGA. Yeah, well, he was. He was a Trump supporter. I don't know if he was MAGA per se, but he was a Trump supporter. But the reality of the situation is his motivation had nothing to do with politics. See, motivation is something that's the reason people do things. That's what inspires people. That's what drives people to do bad and good things. But we're talking about crime, criminality, terrorism, all this other stuff. Motive is ideal because, as we see with the American Defense League or the ADL, that if you don't articulate what motive is, everything just gets considered a lump sum. And when you're a leftist organization like the ADL, everything that is violence, that is politically motivated, is automatically considered right-wing violence. That is absolutely not an exaggeration. That is not an opinion. It has been proven 100 times through all of these different people that have drilled it down and shown their work and shown their evidence, that everything in that ADL report that all these leftists cite about, oh, right-wing violence through the roof, is not. It is not through the roof from the right. And I think, what was it? The New York Times or one of the leftist rags actually had a moment of honesty where they articulated that leftist violence is on the rise in America. But we are so caught into this tribalism, and admittedly, I am too on some levels, but you're so caught into this tribalism that that's the only thing that you're seeing when a major incident happens, a terrible, horrific incident happens, is which tribe did it, and not what's a supporter. Facebook, I cannot see your name because Facebook doesn't play well with this program, so I can only see that it's a Facebook user. But again, given the accent, I had time. Oh, it was the Atlantic that finally admitted it. Thank you, Mission Ready Men, for clearing me up on that. It was the Atlantic that finally said it. But what that does is that detracts from the victims of crimes like this, because now they become a secondary story when they should be the primary story. People should be lifting them up and trying to take care of them and highlighting their struggle, all of that stuff. Axio as well, Jersey Joe says. Thank you, Jersey Joe, who's also in chat. Appreciate it. And that's what, I mean, the left is absolutely unhinged with this. They're doing it in everything. Everything is political no matter what. You could absolutely go on social media right now as a conservative or whatever and be like, I like steak and cheese. And then 1,000 people will be telling you why steak and cheese is racist, why you're a homophobe for liking steak and cheese, and how you're a fascist for liking steak and cheese. And that's just like, they'll argue over everything. And when you're trying to have a good time, and I've seen a couple people on the right do this too, so I'm not saying it's exclusively the left. I had a couple people kind of come at me for certain comments that I've made from the right, where I was obviously being sarcastic, which, go fucking figure, it's me. If you've ever met me, you know I'm a sarcastic prick, right? And it's just like, just slow down a little bit. Yes, I see a lot of things through the prism of politics because of this show and what I do. But you know what? When I put my phone down or I don't feel like being political, which happens a lot, when I need to take a break from the internet, I am a normal human being. I try to have fun. I try to enjoy life. I don't try to be a miserable prick always looking to ruin somebody else's day because they made a joke. You know, you make a joke like this. Now, this was, and I am getting into the segment of the congressional shutdown. So I need a second for this because this is the file. So Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries went to meet the president to discuss the shutdown, which we'll get into the whole thing of the shutdown. We know what's going on with it, but and an hour later, President Trump posted this.
Look, guys, there's no way to sugarcoat it. Nobody likes Democrats anymore. We have no voters left because of all of our woke trans bullshit. Not even black people want to vote for us anymore. Even Latinos hate us. So we need new voters. And if we give all these illegal aliens free health care, we might be able to get them on our side so they can vote for us. They can't even speak English, so they won't realize we're just a bunch of woke pieces of shit, you know, at least for a while until they learn English and they realize they hate us.
I have said time and again, there are days where I absolutely hate the fact that I'm alive during this time period. And then there are other days where I absolutely love the fact that I'm alive during this time period. And that is one of those things that I absolutely love the fact that I'm alive for this time period, because just the president trolling them. And the best part is, maybe you didn't pick up on it, but Hakeem Jeffries is obviously dressed like a Mexican with the big old mustache and the sombrero. And that insinuates that he was the one who had to get dressed up because Chuck Schumer's in charge and he's just doing whatever Schumer tells him, which is the funniest fucking thing on top of the video. Like, the inference there is amazing. So we're talking about the shutdown. And yes, I saw it in the chat room. I think it was Joshua who said it in the chat room, shut it down. I'm all here for it. I am absolutely here for it. Shut it down. Look, here's the deal. And they're going to run 16 different ways over. The fiscal year ends October 1, technically tomorrow, but at midnight, October 1. There have not, even though they did the appropriations, I talked about this in my last show, that I was pissed that they didn't do the appropriations fast enough. To the House's credit, they did it through the right procedure. Now, it's been 1996 since we actually passed a budget with appropriations. That wasn't some omnibus bullshit thing. We actually did it the right way. So we got to give them a little bit of credit for actually passing the appropriations. They think they're close on a deal overall, and they need a CR. Now, I hate continuing resolutions. I hate them. I friggin' hate them. Why? Because this is exactly what happens with continuing resolutions. What the Democrats are doing right now, they start trying to jam shit in. They wanted the House wanted a clean CR. The Republicans did. Just clean. Essentially, you take what we have now as a budget and you extend it 60, I think it was 60 days, to try to finish the actual bill that will kick in and take over as the budget, and the president signs it, and that's how it's supposed to be. Right, wrong, or indifferent, that's how it's supposed to be. But because it's the budget, we need 60, so we need some Democrats to cross the line. And the Democrats said, oh, wait a minute, we want $1 trillion for illegals, $1 trillion for healthcare for illegals, even though they're not supposed to be getting healthcare. Which, I mean, they registered to vote. We know that because of what happened in Iowa. The superintendent that was an illegal that had a deportation order that was a couple years old. That one, where he was the superintendent of a school district, passed his background check, swore up and down he was a citizen. He wasn't. He was armed, had a fully loaded weapon in his car. That's a felony. And he fled and had to be caught. And then they find out that, all this shit came out. So they also found out that, he was a registered Democrat voter in the state. But illegals don't vote. Illegals don't get health care. Illegals don't get this. Illegals don't get that. They're not getting SNAP. They're not getting this, blah, blah, blah. But we know they are. They can say this a million times over. And again, they're absolutely using the Goebbels approach. They're repeating a lie until it's true. And when you have a budget that was actually passed correctly, however long it took them, however many vacations Congress takes, which sucks, however many different things that they get their asses into. Sorry, it's just Congress just pisses me off. Congress as a whole has a lower approval rating than herpes. The Democrats are actually worse than that. I think they're lower than AIDS. But the reality of the situation is, I've been reliably told that never happens. Mission Ready Men says in the chat. Yeah. I have too. And yeah, Joshua said in the chat, we shouldn't be doing continuing resolutions. Every elected official should step down. No, I agree. Look, how the parents and I are not enraged in this. Look, that story alone is batshit crazy. And to find out that the person who hired him was Michelle Obama's assistant, huge tied-in leftist Democrat. And they said, oh, he told us he was a citizen, blah, blah, blah. Why wasn't it checked? I don't know. Like, if it was checked, then you're telling us that our system is jacked up and needs to be fixed as well. Because it clearly wasn't. And then they're all screaming, we should really be nice about this because Dr. So-and-so and then this and that. And the school district is the one that's suffering. No, the country's suffering because of numerous situations like this. And I had the question if I believe the gun was found under his seat. How many times did he bring that gun to school tucked under the seat of his car? This illegal immigrant that you clearly know nothing about. I mean, was he even really a doctor? I don't know. I haven't seen the evidence one way or the other, but why would I believe him now? It's just absolutely fucking ridiculous, but that's a different story. I wasn't even going to cover that tonight, but I just went off on a rant, as I always do. So now the CR is coming up. They're trying to jam in a $1.5 trillion. Oh, they're going to lose. People are going to be ripped from their health care if we don't do this. Yeah, illegals. Sorry. Look, I am not feeling bad for people that came into this country illegally or overstayed their welcome that aren't being treated like house guests. His degree was the University of Post Toasties. It probably was. Yeah, I mean, there's so many questions why that whole story was wrong. But this goes to show you that Democrats don't give a shit except for emotions. Because I'll tell you right now, if this was reversed somehow, I don't know how you would reverse this, but in other words, if conservatives were in charge and they were wrong, the left would be all over the fucking place about this. And rightfully so. An unqualified person, or a sex offender or something else, being hired to work around kids is a fucking travesty that should never happen in this country. The CR. I was talking to the CR and the ADD got me. But yeah, so we have the CR, and instead of passing it clean and saying, look, we'll have the budget fight with you because you already did the appropriations, all that other stuff, but we'll just keep the government open with the CR. It can't be done. The Democrats refuse to do it, at least as of right now. I think when they start seeing it, they're polling, because polling is showing the Democrats are going to get blamed for this. We all know the Democrats have on numerous occasions upheld when conservatives were in charge. So I think they're going to cave at the last minute. I think this is all fundraising prompt. That's the word I'm looking for. Posturing. I think this is all fundraising posturing just to say they can do it. But once again, the Democrats, other than Orange Man Bad, they don't actually have a goal. They don't actually have a plan. They don't have actually anything that will make Americans' lives better. I mean, plain and simple. And again, you see this because everything's combative and there's no suggestions on how to actually solve it. Throwing money at illegals is not solving the budget crisis. And I said, I think it was last week on my show, Run BZ show, look, you turn around and if Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries were in there demanding that more money be pulled out of the budget, then I'd be sitting here going, yeah, let's listen to them. Let's hear them out on this one because, yeah, maybe we need to cut more. That would be fantastic. But the reality is that's not the case. 1.5 trillion. And as a nation, we've gotten so used to the word trillion thrown around that we don't even think twice about it and what a gigantic number that is. And by the way, that's all taxpayer money. You and I, we pay that 1.5 trillion that they want to give away to illegals. So they want us to subsidize people who shouldn't even be in this country. Plain and simple. And that's their line in the sand. That's what they'll hold up Congress. That's what they'll shut everything down for. Is for illegals for $1.5 trillion. Think about what that says to your kids. If they pass this, screw you, screw your budgets, screw your future. The economy's already in the shitter, so we might as well keep going. That's what that says. And the fact that they will shut it down, and just for the CR, we're not even in the actual budget fight yet, per se. This is just for a CR to keep us going for a few days until they figure it out. They will not do it. They will not do it. And they're going to, like I said, I think they're going to cave at the last minute. But as of right now, I'm wrong, because as of right now, they're saying they're going to shut it down. I got to get some comments in the chat room before the break. I scrolled up to a comment about box of condoms, so we're going to skip that one. I hope they can fire a ton of federal employees. Look, yeah. I mean, one of the things Rick Robbins said in the chat room is that if they shut it down, you can find a whole bunch of non-essential employees, essentially. Yeah, this will expose a whole bunch of people that aren't really needed in our government. And what's it, 100,000 automatically quit in October 1st anyhow, because they took the layoff that was offered a couple months ago by the federal government. So we're already losing 100,000, but this will tell us what else is not hanging around that we don't need. Let's see. Trump played Schumer. Jersey Joe says, where is it? Here it is. Trump played Schumer and Democrats into the corner, then the shutdown of Trump gets to fire a large amount of workers. They piss off their base. 100%. 100%. The Democrats, yeah, they want all their money back. Joshua's right in the chat room. They want all their money back. They want to raise the debt ceiling. They want to keep throwing as much money as they can. They don't give a shit about taxpayers. They don't care how much it's going to cost you, your kids, none of that. They just want to be able to spend more and fund all of their little fucking pet projects. And I'm sick and tired of it. I agree with everybody in the chat room who's saying, shut it down. I agree with you. Shut it down. We'll be right back.
Welcome to River of Common Sense, where we cut through the noise of news and politics with a sharp wit and clear discussion. Tune in every Monday and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a refreshing dose of reality as we fearlessly tackle the tough topics with no nonsense, just pure common sense. Visit shrmedia.com to discover where you can catch River of Common Sense in action. He's here to amplify your inner logic. He may not always be polite, he may not always be refined, but one thing's for sure, he always tells it like it is.
Come listen to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show. Live on select and exclusive Tuesday and Thursday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Rumble channel, SHR Media YouTube channel, X, Twitch, Spreaker, and wherever great conservative podcasts are found. BZ, your conservative Sherpa, guides you through the maelstrom of Democrat, leftist, and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. Raised as a free-range child with dirt, stains, mud, and freedom, BZ broadcasts from North Idaho, comfortably surrounded by actual normal people. Jump into our plush, sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent chat room on rumble.com. Click on live chat to join. Now, with 37% more umbrage and 19% more bulbosity than previous shows, featuring delicious Liberty additives for the best in late-night conservatarian talk radio. BZ reminds you that with great beard comes great responsibility. No chinchillas were harmed, embarrassed, fat-shamed, or the focus of any sarcasm whatsoever in the making of this ad.
Welcome back to the Edge of Liberty right here on the SHI Media Network. my other music wasn't playing for some reason. That's really bizarre, but it doesn't matter because we're back. I do know who my Facebook supporter was. I'll have words with them later. Speaking of weirdos, and he is, let's talk about what's going on in the UK right now, because, man, I'll tell you, if they had any power over me whatsoever, and I mean any power, like say if I was Canadian or something, I'd be really weirded out by this. Britain's NHS, that's the health department essentially, okay's cousin marriage, essentially. Reports confirm the UK National Health Service has issued guidance urging sensitivity, effectively normalizing cousin marriaging in certain communities, framed as cultural respect but functionally undermines medical advice. The shift the NHS role from public health protection to cultural accommodations. Now, the fact that this is even a discussion is fucking beyond me. Britain is, as Joshua said in the chat, Britain's gone. I don't know how to tell everybody this, and I know a lot of us already kind of know this, but Britain's done. They're done unless they can 180 in the next year, and I mean hard, and really start just bouncing people out and putting that ship right again. It's done. When you're okaying cousins to marry and reproduce, which is the point of it, they said something to the effect of like it's good for the country. Then what you're doing is saying all of these people that are coming from these third world countries who already sleep with their cousins, we have to make sure we bow down to them and make them feel welcome by telling them it's okay to do it here in the UK as well. Between that and digital ID in the UK, it's done. And I feel bad for the good people that live over there. And there are some good people that live over there. But it's to the point now where the banjos are now coming from the UK. It's to the point now where I don't see a logical way it's going to come back. And look, the digital ID thing. Hold on, I'm listening for something there. There we go. The digital ID thing's fucking scary. But I was thinking about it tonight. I made this post on X. I said, you know, everything you have is already a digital ID, right? Your phone, you have your social security number, your driver's license. Like everybody knows that you can be identified. They're saying, oh, it's for work. It's for work. They already have things in place to keep you like we're supposed to in this country. But that doesn't really make the digital ID is going to work because it can be hacked like everything else. And they know that. They're not stupid. That's the thing is they're not stupid. But I said, why are they doing this big push for digital ID? Well, first and foremost, it'll be total control of every aspect of their life. They're already into your banking, but it's going to follow your banking even more. You will be required to have it on you as an adult at all times. That means you have to have a smartphone on you at all times. And I know the UK is one of the biggest surveillance states in the world. There's a camera in every corner in every city of the UK. But now they're going to have a GPS tracking on you 24/7 because you're going to be mandated to have your phone. And for the people that don't want cell phones or maybe use flip phones or smartphones or whatever, instead of smartphones, I should say, no. You have to have this. You have to have this smartphone. So we'll give you one. You're just going to be digitally tracked everywhere you go. What they're going to see you using, because as we know with apps, and yeah, every government can see what you're doing on your phone, whether we want to admit it or not. That's just a reality, but to a point. But they give you an app or you download this government app that you're mandated to have, and it's all of a sudden going to start okay. You have to okay all the permissions on it. The government's going to be able to see literally everything you do, not just stuff that pops out, and they're going to archive it. You know they're going to archive it all. And they're doing that for total control. So they can track every aspect of your life. And we know they want to do that because they're arresting people for memes and Facebook posts and thought crimes under hate speech. It's London Stan meets Soviet Russia. It's the weirdest thing that people in that country, even on the left, are voting for this. Because as much as we grew up with the Cold War, and as much as we grew up fearing, the Soviet Union as a potential threat, UK was much closer to the crossfire. And it wasn't that long ago. And they've had their history of terrorist attacks. And they've had all of these things that they used to despise, and now they're becoming. It is a communist. I mean, it's not far from being a communist state. They already pay exorbitant taxes. The government already has control over so much. I'm sure they stopped watching me. I have some weird fetish. Yeah, it's just yours is just like gigs upon gigs of just motors running behind a tilted hood. But yeah, whatever. But yeah, so it's frightening to me that these people are approving it. Keir Starmer is, I mean, I'll tell you, if you haven't seen Keir Starmer lately, he looks like a deer caught in headlights 24/7. He is absolutely, you could tell, he's like, doesn't know what to do. He is out of his league right now. You have a country full of people that want to destroy the country, that want to take it over, and everything that you've built as a nation. Where have we heard this story before? And they want to destroy it and implement the place that they came from, and destroy your culture, destroy your country. And who said it earlier? It might have been Joshua who said, "Get the UK out of NATO." Get the US. Yeah, I legitimately think that at some point you start to have asking that question. You have so much everybody who's not Islamic rants going on in that country right now. We've seen so many horrific videos of what's going on. We know about the grooming gangs. We know about all of that. Look, I've said this before. I don't care where you immigrate from, as long as where you're going, you want to assimilate. You want to be part of that better life. You want to do all of that. You want to do the right thing. Okay, great. I'm here for it. But the reality of the situation is that is not what's going on in Europe. That is not what's going on in the UK. They tell you not to trust your lying eyes, but we see it every day. I mean, if you watch GB News, which is one of the last only honest news outlets over there, you see it all the time. They're a country who is about to lose their identity. It's literally the fall of modern Rome. They were once one of the most powerful countries in the world, and now they're going to have to they're literally going to be a third world country in 20 years. I mean, they're already on the cusp of it right now. I know everyone's like, oh, just look, they're a third world country. Yeah, they are, but it's going to get worse. It's 100% going to get worse. They have a housing crisis they don't know what to do with. It's unbelievable housing crisis. You have billions of dollars being given away to these immigrants, paying for their hotels, paying for their food, paying literally everything that the immigrants need to live so they don't have to work. Ooh, BZ said in Canada isn't far with, yeah, Canada just started doing the firearm confiscation. They're going to give that a shot. We have nuclear weapons in Britain. Yeah, we do. We have a couple bases too. It'll be interesting to see how long we last in those bases. Let's see in the chat room and just reading through some of the comments. Canada Heavy Hall says they can't totally ban them. 80% of our population hunts to survive. And yeah, I mean, Kyle, you and I both know that as true as that probably is, that 80% of your nation hunts for food and survival. You're acting like that government gives a shit right now. I mean, you guys are already what, 40% of the population surviving on food banks. They don't care. They're just running down the same route that Britain is. Look, we were saying years ago Britain wouldn't do shit like this, and here we are. And I know you're in a protected province. You're much better off than all the other provinces. And I could see your province losing their shit and be like, all right, fine, we're done being in Canada then. But don't think that government that's sitting there, the Connie government, the Trudeau government, don't think that they wouldn't do that. I mean, just look at Britain. Look at Australia. Australia is a lot worse off than people realize too. You know, we have our friend Jack who lives down there, and I follow a couple of news sources down there directly. Australia's not doing well either, but they're nowhere. Britain is sprinting to the bottom of the barrel right now. breakneck speed. You can't, if you stop them right now, I don't know how. I don't know how. I don't have an answer to that question. Britain is the second Muslim country with a nuke. Yeah, behind Pakistan, it will be. And Sadiq Khan got all out of sorts when Trump was over there calling him. Oh, because he called them out on their shit. They're like, you guys got to fix this. You're going to have a whole fucking mess. And Sadiq Khan, oh, he's an Islamophobe. He's this, he's that. And then you turn around and there's a video of Sadiq Khan recently at a city council meeting or whatever they call it over there. But I don't even know, the bibbly boobly meeting, whatever. They use weird words for everything. Shitting all over the woman who was trying to get him to answer questions, who's a MP or a local MP or whatever, treating her like total shit because he won't answer a direct question to her, and he's clearly treating her like an asshole. And it's like, who's the sexist? She's trying to ask you a question, you won't even give an honest answer to her. Who's the sexist? It's a problem, man. I mean, this is a huge problem. And I don't talk a lot about the UK politics because we have our own problems here. We have our own issues, but it is a fallen ally. And I know like there's some great people over there in the UK, and I have some friends in the UK. I have some friends who are still over in the UK, and they tell me how it really is over there. And it's not nearly as bad as, what we hear over here isn't nearly as bad as it actually is inside the UK. The UK is a dumpster fire right now that has a pretty painting on the outside. Like, it is a hot fucking mess. But the problem is you've allowed all of these small boats to just show up full of people. You just started giving the house away. You started giving everything away left and right, non-stop. Why do you think we're so angry right now about the immigration of this country and what was given away, and why we don't want to fund this government going forward until they figure it out? Because we don't want to become like the UK. And again, Sean, that sounds really racist against brown people and black people coming from blah, blah. No. Anybody who wants to go there the right way, and you see them. If you watch videos from the protest, what was it, 2 weeks ago, where they had, 100,000 Britons marched for sanity is what I call it, the March for Sanity. You had all paint jobs in the world in that march saying, hey, our country needs to be restored. Our heritage needs to be restored. We can't give the house away because we work to build this too. This is where my family's been for generations. I don't want this shit happening. I had to come here the right way. You want to see if we didn't elect Trump, the path we would have been on in less than 10 years, 5 years? Look at the UK. And we're already dealing with it. I mean, you still don't add 10 million illegals into this country and not have to deal with the outcome for that. Yeah, the young Brits. Joshua just said this, and I was reading a study last week that said it really is a majority of the young, uneducated Brits who did not grow up during the Cold War, who were told that communism was great. It was just implemented wrong, no matter how many millions of people that it killed. They're the ones who are all for it. They're the ones who are electing these bozos. And then once the bozos get into power, they're going to do bozo things, right? I mean, you let an 11-year-old at your sound system, and your sound system's going to be jacked up because they don't know what they're doing. That's what they're doing running this country. They're trying to pacify, and you see it in France, and you've seen it in other places. Like I said, I think it's Sweden. It's a hot mess in Sweden. You don't hear about it because there's such tight media clamping in there, but it's a hot mess. And the UK is not far behind. And what's unbelievable is the UK used to be a great place. I wouldn't go travel right now. If you gave me a trip to Britain, I don't think I'd go right now. I just don't. Same reason why I don't go running around in Mexico right now. Same reason why I don't go to Bogota, Colombia right now. Same reason why I don't go to Somalia or Iraq. There's problems there. There are people getting stabbed there left and right, pickpocketers, attacks. You look, I mean, how many videos have I seen on the train there where a group of invaders, if you want to call them, are ganging up on women, on children, on individuals. And it's just not where we need to be. And this isn't hyperbole. This isn't because I don't like how certain people look. This is a reality. It's a reality that needs to be dealt with. And the UK, sorry, man, you ain't dealing with it. And I don't think you can deal with it. Hold on one second. Not only am I being harassed in our chat room at SHR Media and YouTube, I'm also getting it via text message too. So yeah, it's just, I feel for it. I feel for the good people there. Like I feel for my good friends up in Canada. Canada has a special place in my heart. The UK does too. I have a lot of friends over there. It's just not going well. And I am hoping enough people are paying attention in this country to know that we need to continue to change the course that we were once on. Let's see. Oh, that was the other thing I wanted to touch about. I had a whole part of that too. The other thing that goes with the digital ID before I went off on my little rant is the social credit score. And that's a huge part of the digital ID. And China, which, by the way, whichever Fruit Loop they were having do a news press about why digital ID was good, they listed a whole bunch of other countries that use digital ID and they left China out. So, Joshua, I can't let you say that just straightforward because I have a lot of good friends who are Canadian ones in the chat room and my family's from Canada. So, I'm in America. I was born here, but yeah. Can't let you just outright say that. Let's see. Social credit. This will happen to you. She's trying to pass into a certain, and her social credit score is not high enough. This is in China. And you'll notice she's getting the red thing. She can't go from one area to the other because her social credit score is not what it should be. It means, in other words, she's not a good communist. She's not doing everything she's supposed to do. So she's now locked out of certain privileges. And that, my friends, will be coming as well to the UK. What do I got? 10 minutes left. So I just got to beat up on California because I live here and it absolutely needs to be beat up on. California wants to pass a pay per mile tax for driving. Lawmakers are advancing the road usage charge to replace or supplement the gas tax. It will supplement the gas tax. They're not going to replace the gas tax. This will be added on top of it. California doesn't know how to stop taxing people. They only know how to add to it. Pilot programs have already tracked drivers' mileage through onboard devices and smartphone apps framed as fairness, and EV drivers don't pay gas taxes. So they're framing this EV drivers, which, by the way, they pay enough tax on electrical. Like I'm not so against EVs that I'm also blind and stupid. They're charging it and they're paying for it and they're paying the taxes on that electricity. Right, wrong, or indifferent, whether you like electric cars or not, but that's a fact. But they're trying to say this, that, well, EV cars, they don't pay a gas tax, so we got to make sure that we get something from them, which they already do. Most of them had to get one of those what's the little fast pass thing that says, hey, I don't make any dirty gases, so I get to ride in the fast lane all the time. So they already pay extra for that. But yeah, so they want to add a mileage tax. So if you go 300 miles and it's $4 a mile, let's just say, you have to pay $1,200, right? That's what they're going to do. And right now they're saying it's for the EVs, but we know it never stops there because it's California. California never just applies it to one person when they can get money out of everybody. And it's going to happen. Like I said, they're not going to get rid of the gas tax. Somebody's going to sue and say, wait, if you're going to apply this to electric cars, you're going to apply this to all cars. And the state's going to go, yeah, you know what? You're right. We need to do that right away. And driving, which this is already the most expensive state to own a vehicle in, to ensure, and for gas, include because of the taxes and because of the closed loop fuel system that they have here, where they have a certain formula that they can only make in certain refineries, and it costs a shitload of more money than normal gas, and it's the only gas they'll sell in California. Nobody talks about that, the closed loop system we have here, and what a disaster it is. But I digress. But they're gonna find a way to extend this out, and everybody's eventually going to pay for it, and it's going to cost. And that's how they. We've talked about it before. We talked about the book Nudge. It's how they slowly get you to go where you want to go, and or where they want you to go and make you feel like you had choices getting there. It's just limited options until they get submission is what it is. And eventually they are going to find a way to get people to stop driving cars in the state. That's the goal. That's the end game. And that way they can control where you go, what you do. You have to take 15-minute cities, blah, 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 all that bullshit that we know is a plan. That's what they want because it's easier to control the masses. Look at what China did during COVID, where they shut down entire cities. They started friggin' welding people into buildings, like people dying en masse in numbers that we'll never know about because China hides everything. That's California. It looks at places like China and they just think, man, that's the dream right there. Those people are doing it right. That's how you totally control people left and right. It's why they're trying to pass Prop 50 right now, right? To take the redistricting out of the hands of the non-biased council or commission that are not politicians who just write it based on the numbers and put it back into the hand of politicians. That's why they're doing that. Total control. Absolute total control. And I've said years ago, I know I live here. I live here for my reasons. Everyone who knows me knows why. But California is like going down the same path of Britain and Canada and other places where they're just running to the bottom. You have all this great potential. And instead of using it to a way that actually benefits everybody by actually letting people make decisions and live and not have to mooch off the state and not have to do what the state controls all the fucking times, then they would just rather control every option that you have. It's why they're passed that law where any individual they want can just walk into a school and claim ownership of your kid and walk out again. Like it's why they do this shit. It's why they just try to get their fucking claws into every goddamn aspect of your life. It's oppression. Look, Gavin Newsom press office, who's run by that little twerp, put out the Stephen Miller's a fascist thing the other day on X. And somebody said, why would you do that? And they said, oh, he's a fascist. Everyone's like, no, this is the rhetoric that's actually causing people to get shot and killed for political reasons. Don't be fucking stupid. But that's all they're doing now is just repeating this rhetoric. They want, I don't care how many times I have to say it. They want the chaos so they can come in and quell it and under the guise that government fixes everything. Everything is about centralized government with the leftists and the Democrats. Everything is about the government controlling everything and you having to ask government permissions. Why you see so many leftist politicians say, oh, the First Amendment's not exactly absolute and you have to be held responsible for hate crime, hate verbiage and blah, 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 blah. It's why they want to convince you that your rights are not natural. It's why they want to convince you that everything you do, you have to say, Daddy, please first. That's what they want. That's the people that they want. And that whole post about Stephen Miller being a fascist, man, I'll tell you, I can't remember the little twerp's name. I know somebody will throw it and you've seen if you haven't seen his picture on X, he's got a bow tie on and these glasses, his stupid face. The fact that Newsom has not pulled them back tells you everything you need to know about Gavin Newsom. And I'll tell you right now, God forbid, and I really hope it doesn't happen. So I hope it doesn't happen to anybody. But if somebody takes a shot at Stephen Miller and somebody actually tries, they're accountable. I don't care what anyone says, even if it's just politically. I mean, I'm sure there's a whole bunch of legal mumbo jumbo. I'm sure you could find a charge at some point, blah, 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 blah. But this ruins Gavin's career. And what he's doing, I mean, it's already ruined, but he doesn't know that. I don't think this country would ever vote for Gavin Newsom. I know even leftists in every other state but California who hate Gavin Newsom. But I'll tell you right now, he's hedging a bet that nothing will happen with Stephen Miller at all in order to promote his career, his political career. And I'll tell you, when we're to the point in life that you're willing to risk that, where you're willing to risk somebody getting hurt in order to benefit yourself further, yeah, you're a horrible human being and you're actually the fascist. I mean, you are using violence or encouraging violence to crush the political opposition for you. That's fascism right there. Yeah, I hope Scott Pressler has a great security team. I hope they all do because, gosh, It's dangerous out there. It's scary out there. Look, folks, that's it for me. I got a minute left. Thank you so much for checking me out this evening. I'll be back Wednesday evening, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast, right here on the SHI Media Network. Make sure you check out our good friends over at KLIN Radio. They have some awesome programming over there, not just politics, a whole bunch of great stuff. So make sure you check them out. Every Monday and Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 on the East Coast, you have Reverb Common Sense with Jersey Joe, my boy. Tuesday and Thursday mornings at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon on the East Coast, you have Mission Ready Men with my good friend Big E. And then BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, Tuesday and Thursday evening at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast. Then on Sunday, because I forgot it to say it Wednesday, and FA, my apologies, sir. You have the Cosmic Bard Show at 5 p.m. Pacific. Wait, I was about to promo his show, and then he's giving me a hard time in chat. I don't know. Should I finish? I'll finish because I'm good like that. Sunday evenings at 5 p.m. Pacific, you have the Cosmic Bard Show, The Lost Wanderer. And that's it. So, hey, thank you so much for joining us. For those who are foreign and domestic, thank you for being here. I will see you Wednesday. Have a great rest of your night.